Three, two, one. Boom. We are officially live. Welcome back to the channel. Today I have my boy, the lifting lawyer. It's my brother Louis Diab.
Good.
I consider him a great fitness content creator. And I'm excited for today's show because we're going to get a good inside view on fitness, on training hard, our diet, making sure that our diet is on point. Lewis is also a lawyer, so he has a vast knowledge on law. So, Lewis, I know who you are. You're one of my good friends, but for everyone out there that does not know about you, can you just start by telling us a little bit about your journey and how you got into fitness and bodybuilding, and not bodybuilding, but more of the fitness realm?
Yeah. First and foremost, Jonathan, I got to thank you. I got to thank you so much for having me on. This is like my first live stream ever. I've only been in like the content creation space for like maybe 2 months, and it's taken a lot of getting used to. So when you approached me a couple of weeks ago to do this podcast and to get my insights about fitness and to try to help your bros and all your audience with fitness, I jumped at the opportunity. I'm so grateful that you're having me here, and I hope that you guys watching can find like the words that I'm giving you useful, because like our goal is lifelong fitness. The aesthetics, the strength, we want everything. But to go into my background, my name is Louis Diab. I'm an attorney living in New York City. I'm also licensed to practice here in New York. And by way of background, I started my fitness journey about 12, 13 years ago. It was like 2011. I was a high school kid, just taking a barbell, just curling it a bunch of times, getting sore. And then I didn't really have any structure. And eventually, in fall of 2011, I go to college, and there was no gym. It was like under renovation. I gained a bunch of weight. I went from like 180 something to 205. The freshman fucking 15, freshman 25. Sorry if I can't curse. But
no, you're good, man. Go ahead, let it rip.
Fast forward. So fast forward to November of 2012. And look, I experienced like a cataclysm in my life. I made like the worst mistake I've ever made in my life. I deadlifted my last set. It was only 185 pounds, is nothing. I deadlifted with a scared cat form. For those of you who are not familiar with what a scared cat looks like, its back is arched like this, and you don't want to deadlift like that. And as soon as I did that set, I just felt everything. I just felt everything in my lower back just like tear apart. And that day, it didn't get bad, but over the next couple days, oh my God, it was like agonizing pain. And I stopped going to the gym. I couldn't. And I didn't really know how to manage the pain. I didn't know how to deal with it. I ballooned to an all-time worst of recorded weight of 244. But at my absolute worst, I was probably closer to 260 pounds around like January 2014.
Yeah.
But in February 2014, I really just wanted to start turning my life around. I felt as though I was like, unaliving myself slowly with all the food and Dominoes that I was doing. I was eating quick orders. So I joined because I was still in college, and I joined a lifting class, 8:30 a.m. I think it was Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Tuesday and Thursday, whatever. And I would be there 8:30 a.m. I would stretch my lower back, and I would do what I could. I'd always wear a back brace. And slowly yet surely, over the course of 10 years, I became what I am today, a licensed attorney, avid fitness guy. I've never looked or felt better in my entire life. And if you want to go into more like the nuances of my journey, we could pull up the slideshow I showed you a bit earlier when we spoke.
Yeah.
On TikTok.
So first, definitely, I'll definitely pull up your profile right now. But before you got into that, like what I would say that deadlifting is probably the key movement that has injured most lifters, right? It's the form.
So I will say that, all right. So like we all know the big three lifts: squat, deadlift, bench with a barbell. We all know those are great lifts. Like I'm not taking anything away from any one of them. But I would say the risk profile of the deadlift, for most of us, it isn't really worth it. You're not a power lifter. You're not a bodybuilder. Chances are you're just a guy who wants to be in better shape than you were today or yesterday. So it's like you really don't need to deadlift. And deadlift has not been a part of my repertoire for years. I would say
Same
like
here.
the last time I deadlifted was like in 2019, because there was a stretch where I got back into deadlifting and I actually exceeded anything that I'd done previously, even before I hurt myself. But as the years go by, like my back, because I have 2 herniated discs and 2 bulging discs from that one deadlift of 185. And ever since
Yeah.
then, like my back gets a little bit worse each year. So like 2019 was the last time I deadlifted. And then 2023 in the summer was the last time I did a back squat. And I can't really squat anymore either. And I have to adjust my workouts to make sure that I'm not doing anything to hurt my back. But even then, I'm still working out my legs vigorously. I'm getting a nice pump. And yeah, you can go to the 2014 picture.
Yeah, same here, man. I think
yeah,
I hurt my back as well when I started on my fitness journey with deadlifting. And after that, I was like, you know what, fuck this. I'm not doing any more deadlifts. I'm just gonna focus on other workouts that I don't have to use my bend over deadlift.
Yeah.
Because there's just a lot of risk, and I don't think there's a lot of upside to that movement. So
I agree.
So let's see here. So this is the first slide here, right?
Nope, that's from 2021. Believe it or not.
Okay, sorry about that. Let's see. I think this
good.
starts here, right?
No, the slideshow starts at 2014. So just keep going. It's after this. It's all the way to the end. 2019, 2017, 16. That's 15. Holy shit. That's 14. There you go. So that's actually me after I lost like 25 pounds. This is October 2014. I was 21 years old. And I was like 35 pounds heavier. You know, when I actually started the lifting class, I got down to like, around 250. This is around 225. I had gotten back into squatting. It wasn't really deadlifting. And this was my,
You're in college,
my Dexter,
right?
Yeah, I was in college. This is in my dorm.
And
it was a really bad time for me, like I would fucking have terrible thoughts. I would have really bad thoughts. As you see on the screen, it says a certain thing. I shouldn't say that on YouTube for your views and stuff, but that's how
that's not good, man.
Yeah.
It's good showing like the reality, because I think we've all been there.
But what's scary is like I would think to myself, I feel like this at 20, 21. How am I going to feel at 40? Am I even going to be alive as like 60? Like, it doesn't make sense. It didn't make sense. And like whenever I looked in the mirror, I always knew like this ain't right. And like I could see what I could become. But like the pain, like the depression came from like, knowing what I could be, but not being that, and being the furthest thing possible from what I could be. And that's not on top of like the physical ailments. Like, of course I had my back, but when you get really heavy, I also had like obesity induced asthma. I also had like irritable bowel syndrome. And like those two things, the asthma and the IBS, that shit went away when I lost like 35 pounds. Like when I got into the 190s, I stopped having those issues.
Do you think it was mostly Do you think it was mostly because of the diet, the training, or the lifting? What do you think was the main driving force for that, for you to remove those elements?
It was everything. Getting a stronger core helped my back. Stretching helped my lower back as well. I worked on building up my strength, building up my muscles, because when I first started lifting, I wasn't lifting for the right reasons. I was lifting to impress other people. I was lifting to impress girls. And as you get older, you realize they don't care that much about all the muscles. It's like, it's nice, but it's not like the most necessary thing.
Definitely, man.
It's everything. The cardio, you strengthen your heart. And like you just get tighter. Overall, your body gets tighter. And a lot of these ailments just kind of went away. A lot of it's just like the gunk. You don't realize how much shit you're eating until you're in that position and you come back from it.
Definitely, man. Yeah, you make a lot of good points there. Let's see. So let's go back here. So this is the second slide here. So we were.
Yeah, that's 2015. I actually put on a few pounds, and I got really focused on lifting and like getting stronger and powerlifting. So like I didn't look good here. I was like fat as fuck, but I could squat 365 for 12. So like I was like I was in my fake powerlifter era. Whereas like in reality, if you're a powerlifter, you're all about like, pound for pound strength, like pound for pound strength. Like it's not impressive to bench 275 if you weigh 275. Like you want to be much lighter than the weight that you're doing. But this was honestly just a cope. I was having halal food and Entenmann's cookies like every other day, and I was just like out of control with my diet. I was just justifying eating like shit. You move on to
would you consider like would you consider this like a dirty bulk?
Yeah. But as I say in the picture, you don't need to bulk when you're already overweight. Like you're already bulked. Like I don't know why I felt the need to bulk.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I agree with that.
And
so then we go into
2016, like I kind of cooled it with the powerlifting stuff. I got a little more shape in my face. Got my John Cena outfit here for Halloween. I was 225, but it was a little bit more muscular. I was still fat. 225 is fucking big for 6 foot. And I kind of stayed the same. Like I started law school around this time, 2016, and I stayed the same for the next 3 years. So you'll see in the next picture, and I included the next picture, 2017, to give you an idea of like, so you see in my face, my American Dad fit. You see in my face that like I don't really have like the shape that I have now. Like there is a little pudginess, especially in the cheeks. You see that shit. Whereas I don't really have it as much now. I have a little more shape. And the rest of my body was like that too. It's like at some point you build up muscles and you really got to start sculpting. And that's where a lot of cardio and high intensity comes in. And you move on to the next picture. I fast forward to 2019. In 2019, I graduated law school in May of 2019. I studied for the bar exam from May 2019 until late July. And then during that time, I basically went on like a mega cut, except I wasn't watching my protein. I ended up losing a lot of muscle. So I ended up going down to I went from 225 to 187. But like I said, I didn't do it the right way. So I lost a lot of muscle. So I didn't achieve what I was looking for. And really, I was just slashing the bar exam. Yeah.
Were you slashing your calories here?
Yes, but not by design. It was more so like I was so anxious to pass the bar exam because you don't want to fail the bar exam. Like that shit takes months to study for, and like once you pass, it takes another like 6 months to get admitted. It takes forever.
Yeah, definitely.
And also when you pass the bar exam, your name is listed online in like a database. So like you see everybody who passed that bar exam, and like if your name isn't on there, it's like everyone will know. Like I really cared about that. Maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I shouldn't. Like,
you're the one guy that found it. Yeah. Damn.
Yeah.
It's a lot of pressure.
I'm like, damn, I don't see bro's name near my name. That sucks. Damn. So I was like, I would say, yeah. So I did lose a lot of fat at the very least, and I was doing a lot of cardio, but I wouldn't say I was fit. You want that nice cross section of strength and cardio and muscle building.
Yeah.
Like you want it all. Like you really want it all. And there is a nice sweet spot that you can achieve.
Yeah, for sure.
Fast forward during 2020, 2021, there were certain things going on. Gyms were closed. And I'll say that I did gain a little bit of weight, but I was happy that I didn't gain too much weight. I clearly had other problems going on, looking like this. Besides fitness, like I look like the guy from No Country for Old Men in this picture. And it's like looking back, I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, who let me leave the house like this? Who let me leave the house like this, bro? But I weighed like 200, 205.
Okay. How much body fat did you have?
I've never actually calculated my body fat percentage. It's very even like using a DEXA scan or using the calipers or whatever. It's like nothing's ever fully accurate. What I do is I look in a mirror and I'm like, okay, well I have bitch tits. I should fucking lose fat,
Yeah, for sure, man.
Yeah.
God, yeah.
So we fast forward January 2022. I'm on the elliptical and I'm like, something's got to change this year. Something's got to change this year. I look at a guy in front of me on the treadmill. He's running vigorously. I'm like, wow, this guy, maybe he's taking shit. I don't know. But he has a body that I believe is attainable. And he's doing hard cardio, medium to high intensity cardio. Bro is booking it on the treadmill. I'm like, you know what? I got to do that shit. So over the course of the year, I would add more cardio, more like running on the treadmill. June through August, I went hard. I lost a lot of fat. And I went down to like the mid 190s. And that was the best shape I'd ever been in. Fast forward to
Nice.
2023, I had a formula. Like, okay, 2023, I got to do the same shit I did in 2022 from like June to August. I just got to do it earlier. High intensity workouts. What does that mean? Supersetting most of my workouts. So like I would do like back and bicep supersets, chest and tricep supersets. I would do cardio. I actually prioritized cardio. I did the cardinal sin of doing cardio before lifting, but I prioritized cardio that much to the point where like even today I would say cardio is 60% of my workout. Like the lifting, you don't even need to lift that much if you burn off the fat. You know, and this
on
is
that
the best
point,
shape. This take, yes.
So before the cardio, before your lifting, you would do some cardio, as in like running, or you would walk, or what type of cardio would you do?
So before I started to run on the treadmill, I was doing the elliptical. And I realized the mistake I was making. I would look at this guy that I was like using as my example. This guy, he's running so vigorously, like he can't look at his phone. Meanwhile, I'm on the elliptical. I'm casually looking at my phone. I look at other people, they're walking on the treadmill, casually looking on their phone. And I realized my heart rate is not elevated. There's nothing intense about what I'm doing. I could just do this outside and just like, make zero progress either way. But this guy is doing something right. I know he's doing something right. And this is the beautiful thing about fitness because I'm fucking looking at him. He looks like he's doing something right. I don't look like I'm doing something right. I'm going to copy the guy who's doing something right. So I started doing harder cardio. I would do higher intensity running. For me, because it's subjective. At first, running a mile in 10 minutes was high intensity. Eventually, I was running 2 miles consecutively. By 2023, I was running a full 5K, 3.1 miles, in about, my fastest time was like 22 something. Fast forward to the beginning of 2024, I beat that. I do a 5K in 21 minutes and something seconds. So it's like I don't even need to go like there's no need to even go that hard with cardio, but it's like that's just like my progression. Like I started from a place where like my heart rate was probably low while doing cardio to a point where like I have a nice sweet spot where my heart rate is like definitely above 120, damn near 150s, 160s, 170s. I can keep that up for half an hour. And it gave me the body I have here in this picture of 2023. And even this, I wasn't that happy with because I knew I could do better.
Louis, you would do the cardio before you started doing the lifts or after the lifts?
During most of this stretch from June of 2022 until really more recently where I kind of switched things up, I was doing cardio first. Why? Because I thought to myself, I've built enough muscle. If I can keep this muscle and lose the fat, I'll have a body that I want. I'll have abs. I'll have the curvature in my muscles and my shoulders that you see in this picture, a little more prominent. You'll have that shape. Cardio is really the key. And as I got more into cardio, I would see my heart rate, and it would my resting heart rate is now like usually in the low 60s, upper 50s. Average heart rate is like 72 to like 90 something. So I was really happy about like not only cleaning myself up aesthetically, but also on the inside as well. But yes,
and that's when you started seeing. You started seeing those results.
Cardio first. Sorry to cut you off. But I did cardio first, and then I would do high intensity workout. I would do supersets. Like I said, like I would do like a incline dumbbell press, and during for a stretch I was doing supersetting chest and biceps. I would do incline dumbbell press, and I would go immediately to a bicep curl. Or I would do like a seated cable fly, and I would superset that with drag curls.
Just to keep
the heart rate up. To keep the heart rate up, to keep the tempo up. You want to have an intense workout, and that's one of the 5 laws I'm going to go into when we progress through like your questions. Because I got 5. I kind of synthesized everything into like 5 laws that we should be following.
For sure. Then we jump into
me now.
Present.
Yep, that's me now. I'm in the best shape of my life now. I don't have a pump right now, sorry. But at my lowest, in April, I went to the doctor. I weighed 186. That actually beats the low of 2019, where I just like cut without giving a shit about protein. That was 187. Me taking inadequate protein, having still the muscle size and curvature, 186. Right now, I'm probably around 190. And currently I'm focusing more on a low carb diet. We can get more
Mm-hmm.
into like the macro breakdown later. But that's where I
Yeah, for
am. That's my
sure.
entire 10-year journey in a slideshow.
Nice, man. It's cool to see this because you can see like your progression from the beginning to where you're at now. And yeah, guys, if you want to take a look at this, you can find it here on his TikTok page, which is Lifting Lawyer X. So you can see that progression. But so starting off, Lewis, like I guess for
Sure.
someone who's trying to get into fantastic physical shape, what are the essential steps they should follow just to start off, like the mindset into getting into shape? What would be the, I guess, top three pieces of advice to start off with these key components?
Okay, so I did mention that there are 5 laws that we all need to follow for fitness. But before that, I want to start off with 2 understandings we need to have. Number 1, who are we? Who are we? I know it sounds silly. Like, oh, what do you mean, who am I? I ask this question because I see a lot of, especially younger guys, who look up to these degenerate steroid abusing drug addicts, and they want to
Mm-hmm.
be like them. Some of them admit to doing that shit. Some of them don't. Either way, in my opinion, they're harming all these younger guys who are trying to make a meaningful change in their life.
Mm-hmm.
And even when they don't achieve it, they feel bad or they feel the need to take drugs. You don't need to ever take drugs. Here's what it is. Who are we? You're probably not a bodybuilder. If you are, cool. You're probably not a power lifter. If you are, cool. Who are you? You're probably a student, a 9 to 5 worker, a blue collar worker. Lifting isn't your life. It's not your profession. It's not even like a solid third of your life. It's a part of it. It's a solid part of your life. You have many priorities in your life. Fitness is just one of them. That's who we are. I'm a lawyer. I spend a lot of my day just doing law work. And besides that, I'm trying to grow a business, this fitness stuff. And I'm really new to that. I spend a good amount of time with that. So I might spend a little more time in the gym and I might be a little more in tune than like the average person, but that's kind of by necessity because of what I'm doing now with fitness. But overall, for everyone, for most people, like you don't have to eat like a bodybuilder and you don't have to even train like a bodybuilder. Those expectations are not yours. You want to see, for me, it's like I want to become an old man and feel good. Like I don't want to be the person on the scooter at Walmart buying a whole thing of Mountain Dew and just like
Mm-hmm.
feeling awful all the time. I want to feel good when I'm older, when I'm balling out as an old man with a bunch of
Yeah.
bitches and like fucking Monaco on a yacht or some shit.
Yeah,
You know?
man, definitely, bro. What's that guy's name? I think there's the Italian guy. He's like a fashion mogul, and he's always on yachts. He's like 60
Yeah,
years old. He's in incredible
yeah,
shape, and he's on yachts with
yeah,
his girls.
yeah. But
Yeah,
that's like I'm being facetious. Like I just want you to age
yeah,
like
for
fine
sure.
wine, because a lot of these
Hmm.
steroids, a lot of these guys who are like doing this stuff, they're dying very young, and I hate to see it. And I also hate to see young guys, especially young guys, because they see a guy like Sam Sulek and they're like, wow, he just wants to be big for the sake of being big. And I'm
Hmm.
asking why. I'm asking why. Like, what are you going to get out of it? Girls don't like that
Mm.
size. Guys think it's kind of cool, but like even like a lot of the older guys are going to tell you, even the guys that have done steroids in the past will tell you it's like if you're not competing, you're not doing anything. There's no reason for you to take this stuff. Why are you doing it? You're not an influencer. You're not a bodybuilder. You're not competing. You're not getting on stage. You're not a power lifter. You're not trying to break world records. You're not doing shit. You're a regular person.
Hmm. Yeah, man, I completely
And
agree. I think for me, one of the biggest, one of the biggest values when it comes to lifting and staying in shape is to stay healthy, to stay attractive, to
mm-hmm.
stay strong, and to stay dangerous. I think those are like when it comes to my philosophy for training. I think those four things are the most important. And what you're mentioning right now, I think it really falls into the healthy side of it because
Yeah,
what's the point of going down steroids and taking all these supplements, but at any point you can potentially die because this is just so much for the heart. It
yeah.
can't sustain these type of drugs.
Well, think about it like this: your body doesn't know the difference between a jacked 260 and a fat 260. All your heart knows, is that it has to pump to push blood throughout your body, and that body weighs 260 pounds. So a lot of these guys who are dropping, like they're dropping for the same reasons you'll see, like just obese people dropping. It's literally the same thing. Your heart enlarges, and that's not to mention the damage you're doing to your organs. A lot of people take, especially pill form, that does even more damage to your organs than injecting. But also, I want to go into the what, because the first understanding is who we are. We have a good understanding. We're regular ass people. The second understanding is what. What's your goal? What are we trying to do? Like, what are we doing here? So that's where I say you need to have a large goal, a very far out goal. You want to look like The Rock? Okay, I can't help you. But if you want to look, it's generally like look better, feel better. You have a weight goal. You weigh 225. I want to weigh 190. I want to be able to bench 225. You have a far out goal. And along the way to that macro goal, you have micro goals. Why do you have micro goals? To keep you motivated. And actually, motivated is not necessarily the right word. I'll get into that in a bit. But you want to have these checkpoints to kind of keep you feeling good about what you're doing. Because you can go years without achieving your macro goal. I would say I have not achieved my macro goal yet. I still have a bunch of fat in my lower belly that, it's from years of obesity. I'm still trying to recover from that. I'm still trying to burn that off. But I know, 2019, I couldn't do a fraction of what I was doing on the cardio. 2024 is a definite improvement. Each year the slideshow is like a checkpoint for me, and I'm proud of each year. And I kind of want you guys to have that too, where you have a series of checkpoints. So like if you weigh 225 and you want to weigh 190, like, okay, in 6 months, I want to go from 225 to 210. Like that's a lot more realistic for you, depending on your lifestyle. So now we have a what. Like, what are we doing? You define the what. Like, what's your goal? And what are you going to do to achieve it? The steps, stepping stones. Then I have my 5 laws that we all definitely need to follow. And it's in no particular order. You need all of them at the same time concurrently to be successful. Number 1 is consistency. You need the repetitions. You got to put in the work. Number 2 is discipline. Yeah, number 2 is discipline. Often people, it goes hand in hand with consistency. But for me, I'll define discipline as the overarching structure that you're adhering to. Like, what are you adhering to? Like right now, I'm adhering to a low carb diet. Like I gotta put in the reps in the diet, like with my diet and also in the gym. But the overall structure is low carb, high protein. For you, it might be different, but you have to figure out what scheme you're abiding by, and you need to be disciplined and like stick to it with consistency. Number 3 is intensity. I would say intensity is an issue that comes up for people that are already kind of experienced in the gym. You'll see people that and I see it in my gym, there's people there who go day in, day out for years and they look exactly the same. And it's like, well, why do they look exactly the same? It's because they don't have intensity. If your routine never changes in the gym, you're lacking intensity. If you're able to just be on your phone, all the time on cardio, or you're taking mad time in between sets and you're spending 10 minutes in between sets, or you're chatting for 10 minutes in between sets, you're lacking intensity. Your muscles need to be surprised. They need to be tricked because your body gravitates towards homeostasis. It's like when you get injured, your body gets better, hopefully, with time. Like you do stuff to help it, but it gets better with time because your body gravitates towards not being in pain. Likewise, your body gets used to the workout that you're doing. So intensity, how do you increase intensity? You can do supersets, you can do drop sets, you can do pyramid sets. Most of you are probably doing pyramid sets. That's when you just go up in weight and the reps decrease. You could do a reverse pyramid, right? Hell, you could even switch up the entire workout. You could do chest and biceps together. That's why I did chest and biceps. I got fucking bored of chest and triceps. I'm gonna do chest and biceps. It's opposing muscle groups. But you know what? Fuck it, I'll do it. I haven't done it, I'll do it. It shocked my muscle to do, a dumbbell press followed by bicep curl. And on top of that, you want to have the intensity for the hypertrophy side of things. And you want to have the intensity for the cardio side of things. My heart rate went down because I increased the intensity. The other day I was working out with my buddy Peter. And the day before that, we had done legs. And he ran 1.5 miles. So we were running and he was sore. And he was about 1 mile in. And he put down the speed. And I turned to him. I was still running. I didn't turn my shit down. I turned to him and I said, if you could do what you did yesterday in this condition with this soreness, then the next time you're fresh, you're going to demolish it. You're going to do it faster. You might even do more distance because you're leveling up. You know, you're leveling up. You're fighting a strong Pokemon when you do this. You know, you get more XP. You get more XP when you fight a strong ass Pokemon than when you fight a fucking Beagle in the Viridian Forest. Number 4, patience. This shit takes time. It takes time. You have to accept this, you know? And I think a lot of, especially younger guys, don't want to accept that. But it does take time. You need to be patient not only with, you know, the lifting side of things, but also your diet. It takes time to get into a groove. You know, the lifelong fitness that I want people to have, you know, you want to have a scheme of eating that you can adhere to every single day. And it does take patience to find that. Like, because like a lot of people will just do like chicken and broccoli and they say, "Oh, this is shit. I'm not doing this. I'm not going to do this." So it takes patience to find something that works for you. Also, like a scheme of lifting, like the high intensity stuff, the supersets might not be for you. Just be patient with the process, not only of like achieving your goal, but figuring out what works for you. And lastly, is simplicity. Number 5 is simplicity. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. You know, like, yeah, intensity, like you kind of shock the muscle with like doing kind of different stuff, but you're not reinventing the wheel by doing a superset. Like that shit's been around. And also, like for example, for dieting, you know you hear about, especially in our group, Jonathan, you hear about a lot of guys they're doing a water fast, and I'm like, bro, a water fast, like, all right, you know, this is a nuanced answer to a nuanced problem. If you have that last bit of fat and you want to go on a water fast to kind of like stimulate the fat loss, I guess. But most of you want something that is easy to follow. You need to be able to replicate it every single day, except for like maybe a cheat day or two, or if you go on vacation. But like the meals, the exercises, the workouts, the overall scheme, it has to be something that you can copy every single day for the rest of your life. A water fast, you're not going to be able to copy that. You know, you might do it once and then it's like, well, now I'm going to binge eat. Now I'm going to binge eat because you didn't actually change anything and you didn't keep it simple. The diet has to be simple. The chicken and broccoli, like it sounds very simple, but like it's not simple to adhere to because it sucks. There's many different ways to like skin this cat, you know?
Yeah. Do you think? Yeah, I completely agree with that, man. You have to have something that you can routinely do. You keep it
Yes.
consistent, and you keep it, like you mentioned, simple. But as far as water fast or just fasting like that, do you ever think there's a place and time for something like that?
So it's a question of nuance, you know? For example, I'm doing, like I said, a low carb diet. What does that consist of? I'm taking in less than 100 grams of carbs, and I'm making sure to take in a little bit more than my body weight in protein. I weigh 190. I take in about 200 grams of protein. And a lot of this is a math problem. So 1 gram of carbs and 1 gram of protein, each of them have 4 calories. So if you're taking 100 grams of carbs, that's 400 calories. If you're taking in 200 grams of protein, that's 800 calories. 1 gram of
How's your fat?
equals 1 gram of fat equals 7 calories. Usually my fat, like right now, it's around the same amount of carbs. Like that's kind of how it's been playing out. But you have to keep in mind that like there's some fats are better than others. There's 0 instances where you want trans fat in your diet. But for example, the fats you might get from maybe walnuts or almonds or avocado, like those are better fats you want to get in. But for example, like even this low carb diet, like this is not something that I'm planning to do consistently for the rest of my life. It's just because I'm trying to burn off like this last bit of fat on my lower belly. That's like very stubborn, this very stubborn fat. It's almost like a punishment for my obesity from my younger years. And I accept that. It's going to take much longer. I'm not sure I'll achieve it for this summer, but this is my nuanced, it's my nuanced attempt. And that's what it is. It's a nuance. So like, for example, when you go on a bulk or a cut, it should never be like a dirty bulk and it should never be like a starvation cut. It's a nuanced answer. And even within then, it's like maybe you take 200 calories more for a bulk, 200 calories less for a cut. Like it's nothing extreme. You want something that you can actually maintain for a few months when you're going into these nuances. And I think like the water fast, that's about as nuanced as it gets. You know, like perhaps there are like there's healing or cleansing like things that come with it, but I'm just talking about losing fat. And for me, it's an answer that doesn't apply for most of you. It doesn't apply for me. And it's not the long-lasting solution that we're looking for that's easy to follow and replicate on a daily basis. So yes, there is a space for nuanced solutions, but just keep in mind that that's all they are. They're nuanced. It's a short-term fix to a short-term problem.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. This is not something that you sustain for a long time. It has to be something that just a nuanced approach. If you want to try something different, perhaps you can do a quick fast, but nothing long term. And just for the audience out here that is not familiar with macros, is not familiar with protein, carbs, and fat, can you just give us like a quick breakdown on what each of these is and when you need them in your diet, what role they play into your diet?
Okay. So keeping it like very, very simple. Your body needs to burn something for you to live, for your body to function. It's either going to be carbs, it's either going to be protein, fats. Like I said, 1 gram of carbs, 1 gram of protein, they equal 4 calories. 1 gram of fat equals 7 calories. So, like one other issue with like those water fasts is that like when you're in a big carb deficit, so like if you're in a very big carb deficit, your body needs to burn something that isn't carbs. So like, yeah, your body actually stores in the liver glucose in the form of glycogen, and it'll go into those stores. But after it gets through that, it's going to burn either fat or protein. You don't want your body to burn the protein. Your protein needs to be synthesized for muscle growth, muscle repair. Like that's what the protein should be used for. And that's why, like when I'm on this cut, I'm making sure I'm doubling down on my protein intake to make sure I'm getting enough, so I'm not using the protein just to sustain my everyday life. But that's like the importance of these macros. They keep you literally living, and the protein is synthesized either to keep you living or to grow your muscles. And when you have the carbs in your system and the fats in your system, you're going to be using those macros to like fuel you, and you're going to be using the protein to synthesize and muscle growth. And that's also why rest is very important to get all that going.
Yeah, for sure. And so I think it's safe to say, Louis, that when it comes to protein, we want to make sure that the protein is always maximized. It's never going below your body weight. You're keeping a good amount of protein going. When it comes to carbs, you need the carbs for the energy, to power your workout. It will just maximize your, and also for the glycogen, right? Like it kind of gives you like that pump with the carbs. And then
So
finally,
I'll give you an example.
Fat.
I'll give you an example of a macro breakdown for the most part. I was doing 40-40-20, so like 40% carbs, 40% protein, 20% fat. Now you might think, well, that's kind of a lot of carbs, but keep in mind I do a lot of running, medium to high intensity running, and that burns through a lot of your carbs. And then the high intensity lifting, it burns through a lot of carbs. Actually, it's lower intensity cardio that more specifically targets your fats. But if you have that's if you have like a lot of time, because like if you're like a marathon runner, like they're like very, very thin, very skinny looking, because they're doing a lower intensity, higher duration cardio, and that targets the fat. But a lot of us have maybe an hour, hour and a half in the gym, and chances are, if you want to burn more calories, you want to do a higher intensity workout to get the most bang for your buck during that time. So 40-40-20 worked. Like 40-40-20 got me as far as like, almost having some abs, like having like maybe a 4-pack. But if I want to have like a 6-pack, I got to do this lower carb shit, even though I don't like it. I really don't like it. I like carbs.
I bet, man. And you're Lebanese too. You have background Lebanese. You guys got a lot of good food, man.
Oh my God. Yo,
but so 40-40 40-40-20, it would be 40% protein, 40% carbs, and you said 20% fat. So the last part of the fat, I noticed in my experience, like cutting out fat is probably the worst strategy to have. I've done that before, maybe with like a fast, like a 1 or 2 day fast. And bro, I felt like shit when I cut out that fat. I think it's the hormones, right, that are affected by the fat.
You know, I'll say your hormones are always affected when you're missing any one of the three. You need
Mm-hmm.
all three because like there's I don't know up top of my head. Like I've been studying this pretty recently, but you like your hormones are affected by what you eat, and different
Mm-hmm.
hormones and different enzymes are activated or affected based on the macros you're taking in. You know, so I don't know like the nuances, but yeah, like I definitely feel more lethargic and stupid when I don't take in enough fats. And
Mm-hmm.
fats are important, especially for like your joint health. You know, that's why
Yeah,
people
no,
take
yeah.
oil. You take fish oil, that's fat. You take fish oil for your joints.
Yeah. I think your libido drops like a motherfucker, bro. When you
Yeah.
start taking fat like avocado, anything, all the healthy fats, you just don't
Yeah.
have any drive to do anything sexual. So it's like fuck that shit, dude. It's not worth it. It's not worth it.
You mean avoiding the fats?
Yeah, don't avoid fats at all,
Yeah.
and don't slash the fats because in my experience, it's like, bro, you don't want to do anything. That
Yeah.
sexual drive goes down. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's not
But
a good,
I
not a
also want
good
to like
feeling.
just for a second talk about like this how do we find a baseline for like tracking your macros and tracking your calories? Because like I said, we have the percentage breakdown, but like how many calories are we actually trying to take in? How many
Mm-hmm.
calories is that 40% actually accounting for? So what I use is I'll use MyFitnessPal, and that
Mm-hmm.
gave me like a general like you know you put in your stats, your body weight, your height, your goals, and it gives you a number. For me, it was like 2,200, and then what I want you
Mm-hmm.
to do is to take that number and you kind of like you trial by error. Like okay, I spent a week taking in 2,200. Oh, I gained weight, and I was true to this. If I gained weight, okay, maybe my maintenance is actually a little bit lower.
Mm-hmm.
But now I know my maintenance is around 2,200. Okay, fine. So trial by error when MyFitnessPal gives you like a number to work with to try to figure out your true like your maintenance calories. And then if you want to cut, just know if you want to lose weight or lose fat, just know that you have to be below your maintenance calories. But I don't
Mm-hmm.
want you to be like drastically below. Like if your maintenance is 2,200, you know, take in 2,000 because you have to bear in mind. Yeah, you have to bear in mind that you're also going to be working out and you're going to be burning calories there. So imagine like you're taking in 2,000 calories and your maintenance is 2,200. You already have a 200 calorie deficit, but then you go to the gym and you might burn, let's say, you know, 3, 4, 500 calories between cardio and lifting. So now it's like
Mm-hmm.
you're in even more of a deficit. So just be
That's
wary
true.
of that. Just be mindful of that.
Yeah, because the cardio does burn a lot of calories, and it can make you hungrier, right? Like if you're burning too much
Yes.
calories, and that's when you can jump into the other side of the issue where you get hungry and then you overconsume the calories with food.
Yeah,
Yeah,
binge
so yeah,
eating.
I think MyFitnessPal is yeah, it's a very powerful tool as well. Like I use this as well just to track my macros, and
Mhm.
yeah, so all right, so we mentioned the five key tenets here, which is
Yeah,
consistency, discipline, intensity, patience, and simplicity. And I think,
exactly.
man, you hit the nail on the head there, Lewis. I think that makes it very
Those
easy to
5 laws.
understand.
If you break them, I'm calling the police.
These are the lifting laws. These
Lifting
are the
lawyers
commandments
5
by the
laws.
lifting
Title
gods.
Title 69, Section 420. You know?
You got it for sure, man. So, all right, cool. So, the I guess following from that, if when it comes to like the fats, the carbs, and the protein, what are just like some off the top of your head, some foods that would fall into each category where you say, okay, like protein, chicken, beef, these are good sources of
Yeah.
protein. And then we go into fats, and then we go into proteins, into carbs.
Okay. So for protein, you want lean meats. You know, if you buy beef, make sure that there's like not that much fat in it. Make sure like
Mm-hmm.
you're cooking it a little bit more medium than raw. You know, but ground turkey, ground chicken, chicken breast. You know, you've heard all these before. Those are all
Mm-hmm.
like great bang for your buck sources of protein. In my opinion, you should get most of your protein from food. You shouldn't get as much from supplements. Supplements should be
Mm-hmm.
just that. They're just supplementation. When you don't get enough
Mm-hmm.
from food, you get that little bit extra from protein powder. For
Mm-hmm.
carbs, you know, for carbs, I try to like to make it count for carbs. I might want to have like a, you know, maybe like a sweet potato, for carbs. I try to I try to limit it. Like
complex.
For example, like a pita bread, one side of a pita bread is 30 grams of carbs. So two of them together is 60 grams of carbs. Like I'm trying to avoid that. Perhaps something more whole wheat. I like rice cakes. I think rice cakes are great. Like a very low calorie. Like you can find them for like 35 calories per rice cake. You buy some guacamole, like cup guacamole. Each cup is 50 calories. You put half of the cup on one rice cake, half the cup on the other, and now you have a filling snack that's not even 200 calories. And for fats, you want like nuts, like not all nuts. Like I love cocktail peanuts, but they're a fuck ton of calories. Like almonds are good, walnuts are pretty good. There's also fats inside of the meats as well.
Avocado.
So I like avocado. Yes, avocado is great. Like it's like a lot of us know like what foods are good. Like the real issue is like sticking to a plan where you're having mostly just that.
Man, you'd be surprised, man. Like in my family, I have certain family members that don't know the difference between like a carb and a protein. So I think it's sometimes you kind of just have to reiterate it because some people just don't understand like the differences. But I think those are all great sources. As far as carbs, do you think it's better to lean towards complex carbohydrates?
So from my understanding, it's like you shouldn't really like be afraid of unsaturated fats or saturated fats. I know unsaturated is like the more healthy one, but you don't want to have trans fats. That shit is manufactured. Like when I'm studying,
what are the examples of trans fat?
So like junk food,
just to
chips.
to
like
be aware of it,
yeah. Look at the package. So to really be aware of it, you got to look at the packaging. It'll tell you fats, and it'll tell you a subsection which is trans fats. You want to avoid trans fats. If you look, because I've been posting my macros on my my Instagram, you notice that I get like 80, 90, 100 grams of fat, but there's 0 grams of trans fat, and that's important. Not a single gram of fat comes from trans fats. That shit is manufactured. That shit is poison. Like all the foods that we might call poison, like junk food, sugars, like sodas, like all that shit, all the food that like immediately comes to your mind that is shit, that's all trans fats, and you want to avoid that. It's manufactured bullshit.
For sure. I think everything like in a package is probably going to contain
preservatives. There's also a low key. There's a low key killer. There's a low key killer I want to bring up that's not within the 3 macros, but you've got to keep it in mind. It's sodium.
Sodium?
Salt? So there's like So there's a guy that I've been helping out. He weighs about 344 pounds now. He started at like 350. It's been like, month and a half. And he would send me the foods he's eating each day. And he sends me a Marie Callender's like frozen meal. And I tell him, this is shit. And he's like, what do you mean this is shit? This is 230 calories. And I said, he sends me a nutrition package and it says 700 milligrams of sodium. So for 230 calories, you're getting 700 milligrams of sodium. That's trash. You're only supposed to take in about 2,000 milligrams of sodium each day. And taking in a lot of sodium, that causes high blood pressure. And on the aesthetic side, that's what makes your face look puffy. Sodium makes you look fucking puffy as shit. Yeah. Because it's about water retention. You retain that shit. Yeah. So you really got to be careful for sodium. And when I order my meals, because I do a meal plan, like I don't just look at like, okay, how many carbs are here, how many proteins are here. I look at the sodium. If the food has more than like 700 milligrams of sodium, and keep in mind, this is a meal that's like, 4 to 700 calories and has like 50 to 70 grams of protein. So I'm getting a good bang for my buck in sodium. But if there's a lot of sodium, like 700 milligrams or higher, like I go for like maybe 600 for me, like 600-ish, like 600 to 700 is kind of like a max for me. Because then if you're going to have 3 big meals per day, you're going to be at like 1,800 milligrams of sodium. And that's something to watch out for because, it's very easy to go overboard with sodium and it's not mentioned enough in the fitness community, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's a good point because I always got the impression that sodium was good for your diet, like having more sodium and having more magnesium, like those different potassium, sodium, electrolytes.
Yeah, the electrolytes.
Yeah, I thought like you get the impression that the more you have, the better. But like you're stating, if you go too much over sodium, it can make you puffy. Like it just gives you like that
Yeah.
puffy appearance, and you're
Yeah. So what
inflated
I'm
to some
saying is
extent.
that it's easy to OD on that shit. It's easy to go overboard. It's
Mm.
very, very easy,
Mm-hmm.
especially with these frozen foods. These like I think the Marie calendars, the frozen
Mm-hmm.
pizzas. Like obviously the pizza's bad in and of itself. But what makes it even worse is that they all have all these preservatives, and preservatives are they use a lot of sodium. Back in
Mm-hmm.
the olden days, when people would trade along the Silk Road between like the Middle East, India, and Africa, like all
Mm-hmm.
this, all the foods that they would travel, they would transfer, they would use salt to preserve it. Salt was a preservative.
Mm-hmm.
Salt mines were a huge thing back in those times for a reason. And to this day,
Mm-hmm.
we still use sodium and salt to preserve foods. Cold cuts, like the ones that aren't fresh from the butcher, like because like those will last maybe like not even a week when you open them. But like you
Mm-hmm.
buy like the ones that are packaged already that'll last a
Mm-hmm.
while. Like those last a while because of sodium. They last because of preservatives,
Okay.
and
Yep.
you
That's
want
true.
to you want to be careful with those.
So with the sodium, you said that what's a good range? 1,000 milligrams a day?
So for an entire day, around I think the recommended daily amount is around 2,000. It might be slightly over 2,000, but let's just say 2,000.
Okay. And so how where do you get your sources of sodium from? From like table salt, like sea salt, Himalayan salt?
So I try not to add any salt because a lot of the meals that I had already have salt. Like they already have
Mm-hmm.
sodium. Like I look at the package and it says like, all right, 600 milligrams of sodium. Like, yeah, this might taste a little bit better if I add a little bit of table salt, but I can't afford it. I can't afford it to take in that much sodium. But I will say, if you are going to put salt, you want to use maybe a pinch of salt. You don't want to use that rock salt, the sea salt, because like those are like big clumps of salt, and it's very, very easy, very simple, and like without even realizing to go overboard with sodium.
Damn, man. Yeah, you make a lot of good points because I think I've
Like
been
like
going
the
overboard with
salt where
sodium.
you go like this, and you
Yeah.
twist it. Like that's a fuck ton of sodium. Like it's
Yeah.
good. You put a little bit on the steak, but like people be going overboard with it. Like I used to
Yeah.
do that too.
No, I think I'm the big dummy that goes overboard with sodium, bro. Because every now and then I like when if I want to give more flavor to my food,
Yeah,
especially here in Colombia, like it's all right. Like they're missing like hot sauce. They miss
yeah.
like the salt, that flavor. So I'm like, all right, let me put some more sodium on it. But I could see your point here that you can get too like puffy because I feel like I get a really good pump after eating
Mhm.
sodium, but it might be
Water
overdoing
retention.
it. Yeah, it might be overdoing it. I think a lot
Yeah.
of guys in. It's funny that you mentioned this because like I was looking at this documentary of guys in prison, and a reason why a lot of these guys get like so big and puffy
Yeah.
so fast is because they're eating so much sodium from the packaged
Mhm.
food that they
Exactly.
get in the prisons, and that was crazy to me. But yeah, you're right. I think it's you got to be aware of that because you want to stay away from anything that's going to inflate you or make you look like puffy or fat or just give you
Hmm.
like that.
It's
So
unflattering. Also, the high blood
yeah.
pressure is like the main point. Like high blood pressure will give you a fucking stroke, and you don't want to have a stroke.
Hmm. The
So
high blood
actually,
pressure. Yep.
like a fun fact that I learned more recently because I had gone to the doctor and stuff for a checkup. So people who are very fit, they have a baseline. Their blood pressure is lower. All
Hmm.
right. So they're like you'll see a lot of athletes with like the top number and bottom number are both much lower than the 110/80 that is standard, and that actually becomes normal for people who have really strong heart, who are really into cardio, who are very fit.
Mm.
Yeah.
So okay, on that point, to establish
Mhm.
healthy blood pressure, do you think it's good to stay in a workout regimen where you have a good amount of cardio, you're lifting well, you're keeping the sodium down, perhaps even the sugar, you're keeping sugar down as well, and you're
Sugar is
just,
carbs.
you sh-
So think of it like
sugar.
that. Sugar is carbs.
Hmm. Oh, as processed sugar, as in like candy, sweets.
Yeah. So think about your macros and your calories like having a debit
Hmm.
card. Having a debit card, you know,
Hmm.
and you want to buy shit with your debit card. I want to buy carbs with my debit card. You know, the carbs that you're getting from candies and sweets, it's really bad bang for your buck. Like you're spending a lot of money, so to speak, on carbs that aren't doing much for you. There are a lot of calories for the amount of carbs that you're taking in. So what you want is a good bang for your buck. And that's why the foods I mentioned before, they're a good bang for your buck. And that's why, like, if, you know, for example, if you were to take in 1,000 calories of Cheetos, you're not going to feel that full. If you took in 1,000 calories of grilled chicken breast, you might not even finish it, honestly. That's a lot of chicken breast. It's a lot more difficult. So you're getting a lot more satiation from like the low calorie dense foods, low calorie, high protein dense foods than you are from these higher calorie, not as dense foods. And that's the problem with these candies, these sweets, these chips. Like they taste delicious and stuff, but they're not going to fill you up. They're giving you a fuck ton of carbs and fats, and they're also a lot of calories.
So like for protein, an example, protein, chicken breast would be something that is fairly low on calories, but it has a lot of substance. It has a lot of
protein,
the content that we need. Yeah. Okay, perfect. So
I will say one more thing before we get off the topic of this food. Beef jerky is low-key shit because it's high in sodium. I know a lot of people get into beef jerky because it's like, well, it's just straight up meat. No, it's not, because the way it's made, necessarily it has preservatives, aka a lot of sodium, and you want to avoid that. So avoid beef jerky. What I would recommend instead of beef jerky, if you want that high protein snack, do almonds. Do cup guacamole. You know, like I mentioned, the rice cake with guacamole on it. Honestly, I'd rather have you eat a fucking avocado, just straight up. I'd rather have you eat avocado than eat beef jerky.
Okay, man. I think that's from so far from our entire conversation. That's probably been the most eye-opening point there of sodium. You got to be careful with that sodium because it can increase your high blood pressure. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's a silent overlooked killer there. What do you think about sugar on that point? Going in from sodium to sugar. Do you think what I've seen with sugar is that the more sugar that you consume, the more you crave sugar. You want to eat more snacks. And you go to like down this rabbit hole where you want to just get your hands on more sugar. Do you think sugar is helpful, or where do you get your sources of sugar from?
So when we say sugar, for me, I'm thinking carbs, not sugar. You know, because that's what sugar is. It's glucose, glycogen. Like glycogen is a stored version of it. Yeah. So you want to like, yes, you are correct. When I have a higher carb day, when I have a cheat day, like I'm much more ravenous. Like it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. I have carbs and I'm not filled and I want more carbs. But it goes back to what I was saying before, how you want to have these. Greg Doucette says this. I got this from him, to be honest. Like you want to have these lower calorie, high dense foods, like they're dense in protein. I mean, because they're a lot more filling. It's a lot more difficult to get the 1,000 calories of grilled chicken and 1,000 calories of like a candy. It's like very simple. You're not going to be filled, and you're going to want more.
Absolutely, yeah. I think that's one of the biggest traps for the younger guys out here, just younger people in general, is when they start snacking on foods. It's very easy to start binge. You start binge eating, and you go down that rabbit hole where you just want more, and you're not getting satiated through the process.
Bro, you take in, almonds are a lot of calories, but I think they're more worth the calories than you would from other snacks, like other sugary snacks. So even though like almonds might be a lot of calories, you're getting a lot more out of it. And also you're going to be a lot more full taking in like half a cup of almonds than half a cup of like any sugary candy or whatever. It's a lot more difficult. I'm telling you, it's very filling to take in those almonds. You're going to be a lot more full. It's like a meal, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess going into, we hit a lot of good points here on the diet, on the mindset for going into training, but going into the actual lifts, like what are the key lifts that you recommend to build strength and that will allow you to stay consistent and just keep the workout simple for your lifestyle for training?
Mhm. So what I want you guys to do is to find exercises that you enjoy doing and that you want to have in your like your repertoire for a solid 3 to 4 months. Okay. Obviously, there's certain exercises because like there's only so many ways to to press for your chest. There's only so many ways to do flies. So
Mhm.
every so often, like yeah, I'll have the incline dumbbell press as like a staple for me. Like I like the dumbbell over the barbell because I
Mhm.
get more of a range of motion, and also it's a lot easier on my back actually, and it's just more comfortable for me. It's a preference. And I think I built
Mhm.
a bigger chest without having to like to really lift as heavy of weights. But really, you want to find
Nice.
a nice routine that you could replicate for a solid 3 to 4 months, and then you want to switch it up. And you don't have to completely switch it up. Like I said, like for chest, I'm still doing incline dumbbell press, but
Mhm.
instead of doing the fly where I'm just like going like this with the cables seated,
Mhm.
maybe I'm doing now a cable crossover instead, which is a little bit different.
Okay.
Or maybe I'm doing the fly from up here and bringing it down, or I'm putting the cables on the ground and I'm bringing them up like this, you know. Or maybe I switch it up, like I'll do like a pullover instead. It's like now I'm doing
Mhm.
chest and triceps together, like back to the bro supersets. I'll do like a superset of I'll do a superset of incline dumbbell press, and I'll take a dumbbell and I'll just immediately do a overhead extension with the dumbbell. Or
Nice.
like you don't have to get fancy. You really don't have to get fancy. It's just like you wanna make sure that your muscle is being stimulated, and after a few months of doing the same shit, the stimulation is less and less and less. There's a reason why, after working out for the first time in mad long, you feel a lot
Mhm.
more sore than you would after working out consecutively for like 3 or 4 months, right?
Mhm. Yep. Yep. We got a comment here by Ruben. It's like, "What's up, homies? Listening from the gym." So shout
Good
out to
shit.
Ruben, man. I'm
Good
excited to
shit,
meet
Ruben.
meet meet everyone, man. When we
Inspiration.
go to, yeah, for sure. That's what I was gonna say that, man. Like every time I see Ruben's videos, I'm like, damn, how this guy looks like fucking Spider Man out here doing these cartwheels, and this guy's aesthetic, man.
Of course, is Ruben going to Orlando? Like, if he is, I don't know, man. I don't feel safe. He's gonna just fucking beat the shit out of everybody.
I think he is. I think he is. If I'm not mistaken, we should probably meet
Yeah,
there. He'll probably be
hope
over there,
so.
so we'll get a chance
Yeah.
to see him. But yeah, man. All right. So then, so what do you think about the compound movements, like bench press? Like for me, it's always been a safe haven for me to just go do some compound movements, except for deadlifts. I think deadlifts is the one that has most risk.
Yeah.
But as far as like incline bench, those are probably like my favorite. Military press,
Hmm.
incline bench. Occasionally, I do some front row squats.
Yeah. That's quite. Yeah. You
Yes.
do
So I
do
think
you do for military press, you do it standing up?
I switch it, man. Like I try not to. I try to do it sitting
Because your
down
back?
with some support, yeah, for
Yeah.
my back. But occasionally, like the gym that I'm going to here in Colombia, like I'm in the small town Colombia, bro. So there's not many gyms here. There's only one really good gym, and
Yeah.
that shit gets packed, man. So whenever it's
Mm.
packed, you gotta have to like work with the people there. So that's when I do the standing military press. But if I were to pick, I think it's better to have that back support for the military press.
I agree. I agree. But every so
Yeah.
often, I want to just fucking while out on the standing barbell military press. Like I always wear the back brace when I do stuff like that.
Yeah.
But so what was the question again? Excuse me.
The
Like
complex
what are compound
movements,
movements?
just yeah, like yeah, the
Okay.
compound movements. When it comes to compound movements, do you think it's it's safe to stay with if you want to build a stronger chest, incline bench press, if you want to build strong shoulders, military press. Do you think
You
that's a
want to
good
shock the
save?
muscle.
Shock the
You
muscle.
want to shock the muscle. You want to stimulate the muscle. You want to
Mm,
give the muscle something to react to. You want it to have something to repair when you're sleeping. What does that mean? So like I said, like yeah, the incline dumbbell press is a staple for me. But also like there's other stuff you could do. Like you could even do a single arm dumbbell press, and that completely changes the entire feel of that movement. To do a single arm, like you could just do a small little switch. Like you don't even have to do the whole routine, do a single arm, but like you could do a set where you do single arm just to see how it feels. It feels very different, and now you're activating your core a lot more as well. Or for example, like for shoulders, I'll do like, there's the seated dumbbell shoulder press. Okay, fine. But for a while last year, I was doing standing single arm dumbbell press. I take the 60s and just like go like this,
Arnold
like
press.
that. Arnold press is another thing, another good one you could do. You could do that seated, you could do it standing, and I'm telling you, like, there's such a big difference when you just like stand up to do certain lifts. It's just a different. You could do the same thing in many different ways. Is really the point I'm trying to make. So you could just think about, okay,
for your back, do you think it's better to be seated or to stand?
Definitely, like for me, I definitely feel better seated. But also, like, I try not to shy away too much. For me, like the way my back is injured, I feel the most pain when I do exercises that involve bending over with a barbell. So bent over row with a barbell and the deadlift really fucked me up.
Same here, bro. Same here.
But if I do bent over dumbbell row, like not the one where you're like you're doing it on a bench, the one where like maybe you're holding onto the rack, so you're at an angle. You're not like bent over 90 degrees. You're like more of like an obtuse angle. I feel pretty good in my back. Like I don't feel pain in my back. But like you do,
what do you hit for back
like,
then?
What doesn't trigger you? Bro, I do everything. I do everything with dumbbells or machines. Dumbbells, machines, and cables. Yeah, you can get a lot of work done with cables as well. Like, don't shy away from cables. Like, you could do I have a video on Instagram where I do entire back and shoulder day just on one machine with the cables. You could do a high row, like you go down on one knee and you grab the handle and you bring it down. You could do a medial row. You put the handle down like to your chest kind of, and you do a row. Same thing. You bring it all the way down. You bend over a little. You kind of crouch down a little bit, and you do a low row. You could also put like one of those small grips, like the bars that are kind of short, like maybe shoulder width, and you could put it on the cable, and you could do a lat pull down standing up. That's a nice way to do lat pull down, as opposed to like the standard seated, wide grip lat pull down. A lot of this is also mind muscle connection.
Yeah, for sure. You want to have that mind muscle connection, right? Like from the beginning. Make sure you're stimulating the muscles. And as far as abs, what are your like your top 3 go-to for abs?
So for abs, like I've realized one mistake that I made during 2023 was that I would focus a lot on doing abs without weights. I would have a pretty intense routine, but like I didn't achieve the results that I was looking for. And I've noticed better development in my abs when I started to add weights. So for example, in the ab room, I'll go on a decline bench and I'll take a medicine ball, usually between 12, 25 pounds. I'll do a crunch, or I'll do a straight up sit up. I put the decline pretty steep, and I bring it from all the way down in the starting position all the way up. I'll do like maybe 15 to 25, depending on the weight of the medicine ball. And then immediately, I don't rest. There's no rest. Immediately in that seated position at the last rep of the crunch, I do the torso twist using the medicine ball. And you have to keep in mind that your obliques are not like perfectly horizontal. Your muscles are curved. Your muscles are curved.
Yeah.
And that's an important thing to keep in mind, because you'll see a lot of guys who take like they'll hold a 45-pound plate and they'll just bend to one side to do their obliques. And in my opinion, that's not the best thing to do, because you want to have like a curvature in your movement to hit the obliques in the way that they're shaped. So like when I do the torso twist, I'm kind of bringing like my torso, not just like to the side, but I'm kind of bringing it in. I'm making a curve when I go back. And I feel it a lot more in the obliques. And in addition, so this decline bench that I'm talking about, it also has like a handle like near the legs. So like I'll grab the handle like this, and this is where I hit the lower abs. So I'll bring my legs up like in a crunch, and then I'll like bring my legs up, all the way up.
Okay.
So
nice.
I don't know if you can imagine. I don't know if you can like imagine that. Maybe I'll like take a video of it or something sometime. So that's what I do for abs usually. Like I do that with weight, and then for that last one I mentioned, like I'll try to like keep my legs in the air, just like together, and like just like bring my legs down very slowly and really activate the lower abs. And really, the only other thing I do is like I'll grab like this. There's like a machine with 2 straps, and you kind of go like this to crunch usually. I'll grab it with my arms, and I'll do torso twists like that to activate the obliques. And also with that, I go at an angle to make sure that like I'm hitting the obliques in the shape that they are. And I also like I don't go too heavy. Like you don't want to go too heavy because like your abs are they're not like the biggest muscles. So it's more about the stimulation. It's like, yeah, you want to put some weights. You want to use weights. Like most of you starting out don't use any weights, but like eventually you're going to want to add some weights, but don't go overboard because you'll strain your abs. You might even like cause yourself a hernia. So you want to be careful. I'm not a doctor.
Definitely.
This is not medical advice. None of that shit.
Yeah, absolutely. And finally for your legs, what do you think would be the top 5 workouts?
Number 1, bro, it has to be the barbell back squat. Unfortunately, I can't do it, but for a long stretch, I was able to do it. I would be doing it, but for my back, I would, it was really upsetting the day I was squatting. It was 185. It's like fucking, it was light. It's pretty light. And I felt as though like my back got thrown out and I was in a lot of pain for a week and I got better. And I just said, okay, I can't do this anymore. There's the barbell back squat. I think the front squat is a great exercise. It takes a lot of mobility in your shoulders to hold it like that. So you want to focus on stretching. You want to have nice mobility in your shoulders to make sure that you could properly hold the barbell. One piece of advice for the front squat. So it's like sometimes I would have it a little bit higher. It's like my elbows, like ultimately you want to be like this, like parallel to the ground. I would have my elbows a little bit higher because when I go down, when I do the rep, I have a tendency to bring my elbows down. So you don't want to start like this. You don't want to start like this. And then like near the bottom of the rep, you start going like that. And then now your back is being pulled like this.
Yep. Yeah, it's very easy to get unstable with that workout. And then we have what do you think about like dumbbell workouts for the legs?
Yes. So those are 2 really good exercises. I love the Bulgarian split squat. Now that I can't do barbell squats, that's my shit. That's my go-to.
Fuck yeah, dude.
So Bulgarian split squats, like I can like go relatively pretty heavy without hurting my back. And also you can kind of coordinate how, if you want to hit your quads more than your glutes or your hamstrings, like if you're like more straight up, if you're more upright while doing the rep of the Bulgarian, like you're upright going straight down, you're going to be hitting your quads a little bit more. If you were to bend a little bit forward, again, like be careful, you make sure your back is straight. But if you were to bend a little bit forward while doing it, you're going to feel it more in your glutes and your hamstrings. At least that's how I feel it.
Yeah.
That's 3. And if you want your quads to pop, because I know a lot of us want the quads to stick out, like Mike Thurston. You want the fucking Mike Thurston quads, He looks amazing. Yeah. But one exercise that I really like is the single leg press. Single leg press. You could do it like on leg presses there are leg presses that are perfectly horizontal. Then you have the ones that are like angled on the ground. You could do it on either one. So you put your foot in the middle, the one that you're using, and then you just leg press it. Make sure you're doing it lightweight, and you'll see like the side of your quad popping out to the side, and you get a nice pump in the quads. So that's already 4.
Let's see. Before we go to the next one, so single leg press, just so we can get a better idea of it, because there's different variations of it. What do you think is probably the best one with a machine like this?
So I think that you could do any one of them, honestly. I think that because look, sometimes like, and the reason why I started to do single leg press is because when I use one leg, I notice there's less pressure on my back. When I use both legs, I kind of feel some strain on my back, especially as I get heavier. Yeah, so there's that one with the girl sitting to her side. Like, I don't do it like that. I don't do that side shit. I do the first thing. Yeah, I don't do that side shit.
It's crazy.
A lot of them are trying to actually work out. Yeah, they're trying to work out their butt like that, I think. But if you scroll up, like actually the girl in the red is kind of doing it like how I would do it. So you could do that leg press. You could also do the other one with the guy in the blue where he's like more at like the 45-degree angle. Like that's also good.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Single leg press. And that's like for people with back problems, I think that's a nice alternative if you're feeling pain while doing the leg press using both legs. And honestly, it's the same idea as why I do single arm dumbbell row for back. Because when I do both arms, I feel that pull on my back that is like I don't have the leverage I don't have the leverage to be doing that exercise with both arms or that with both legs. So it's a good
Mm-hmm.
alternative, in my opinion. So that's already 4. And honestly, like a variation of lunge for 5, a variation of lunge, you could do standing in place. You could do a standing in place forward lunge. You could do a standing in place reverse lunge. You could do a lunge where you're holding a dumbbell in one hand and nothing in your other hand to kind of
Mm-hmm.
work out your core at the same time and like you stabilize your muscles. That's also interesting. And also you could do walking lunges. You know, you could do walking lunges. You could hold dumbbells and do walking lunges. I think those are great. And I think lunges are great to hit everything. Your quads, your
Mm-hmm.
hams, your glutes, but
I
doing
think
that shit on the same day as those other exercises, good luck.
yeah, good
Good
luck
luck,
walking,
bro.
right? Yeah, it's I
Exactly.
think lunges are great for combat sports. If you're playing any sport in general, lunges are just going to build that
Mhm.
strong base on your legs. What do you think about extensions like forward leg extensions and also
I do them.
leg curls? Yeah.
I do them. I would say they're more accessory. Like I like them both, and I do them both. I
Mm-hmm.
like them to get. I want to get a nice burn. Like if you were to go to failure on exercises, like I would say go to failure on like the leg extension and the leg curl. Go to failure and then do more. You know, go to
Mm-hmm.
beyond failure if that makes any sense. You know, I think that like so what I would do is like on leg extension, for example, and it's important to note that you should never lock your knees for any exercise you do
Mm-hmm.
for legs. Don't ever lock your knees, just to be clear. So when you bring your legs up for leg extension, don't lock your knees, and you want to keep the constant tension on your quads. And I like that exercise for getting high reps in, like even more than 15 reps. Like yeah, sometimes
Mm-hmm.
I'll go a little bit heavier, but that's what those other exercises are for. Like this is more of like a getting a nice pump. Like this is a nice exercise you could do a drop set on. You do a pyramid up and drop set down in the last set. Like you'll be fried.
Absolutely. So, Lewis, we touched base on the mindset. You know, we talked about those 5 key components that are important for developing the mindset for training, the lifestyle. We went into the training regimen with our couple of great lifts,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's for the upper body, lower body, and we also touched on the diet. What are a great breakdown for your macros. Finally, for recovery, I think this is something that I have overlooked a lot, and I made the mistake, especially when I was younger, of not getting efficient recovery, high quality recovery as far as my sleep and just other methods. But how important do you think recovery is for your training? How often do you recover? Do you perhaps skip one day and then go into the gym the next? Or and also, is there any special strategies that you like to use for your recovery?
Okay, so probably the biggest mistake that I've made in the past like year and a half is not getting enough sleep. Sleep is absolutely the most important thing for recovery. You know, it's not a coincidence that when you're sick, you go to sleep to kind of feel better and like your body recovers while you're asleep. It does most of its work while you're asleep. Your muscles are growing while you're asleep. Your muscles are repairing while you're asleep. You got to sleep, you know? You need to get the sleep in. That's as important as lifting and it's important as cardio. That's my opinion. And as it pertains to rest days, yeah. So like usually I'll go 5 or 6 days. Yesterday I didn't go. I took a rest day then. Today I'm probably going to go actually after this call, but I'm only going to do cardio most likely. So like I actually do like more recently I've had a dedicated cardio day because like I get
Mm-hmm.
to the gym usually a little bit late on the weekends and it closes like 8 p.m. So like I'll get there maybe 6:30. I'll do cardio and maybe a little bit of abs if I have time.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll spend like a solid hour and a half doing cardio and abs, and then the routine begins again on Monday. So this week it looks like Friday and Sunday will be my off days. In my opinion, like the minimum amount of days you want to get into the gym is 4 days.
Mm-hmm.
You want to give your body a chance
Four
to
days.
you want to give yourself a chance to hit everything twice per week. You know, I think hitting
Mm-hmm.
everything twice per week is like ideal for muscle growth and stimulation. However, it's not the end of the world if you don't. Like for example, like my routine is built in a way that there's going to be like one group that's not hit twice per week, or two
Mm-hmm.
groups hit not twice per week. Let's just say push pull legs. You know, push pull legs Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, push Thursday, Friday I took off, Saturday I'm going to do cardio, and then Sunday I'm taking off, and then Monday it starts again. So really, I did only one of those, groupings twice. Ideally, you want to hit everything twice per week, but it's okay. Like that's why you go hard in the paint the days you go.
Yeah, absolutely. So the last question I have here is, as far as sleep is concerned, this is something that I've struggled with myself, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people have struggled with this out there. But as far as getting good quality sleep, what do you recommend to get good quality sleep and also actually go to sleep? Because one of
Yeah,
the struggles that I face is that, like, I know it's time for me to go to sleep, but it makes it hard for
yeah,
me to actually like knock out. Even if I have a good day of working out, even if I accomplish everything, I'm actually tired. My
yeah,
body's tired. There's sometimes that
yeah. I
I
feel you.
actually like I just can't fall asleep. I'm
I'm kind of the
thinking
same way.
of things,
Yeah.
or and I'm like, I can't knock out. And it's and I have noticed that it's affected my performance the next day, whether it's at work
Hmm.
or it's in the gym. So I guess what are your personal strategies if you can't knock out? Some people like to take supplements. Like I've taken melatonin before in the past, but I don't
Yeah.
like it because of the grogginess that it gives you the day after. I've also incorporated some magnesium, and yeah, so magnesium has helped, like magnesium glycinate. But what strategies would you recommend to just ensure that you're actually falling asleep when you
Sure.
need to go to sleep?
Sure. So I'm actually going to go in a very different direction because I'm not the best with sleep, but I've noticed a big difference ever since starting a lower carb diet. And
Hmm.
I've noticed that like I have an easier time going to sleep. Like I take melatonin, but like, yep, dude, the other night I fell asleep without taking melatonin. Like I just like I had the pills next to me. I
Hmm.
ended up falling asleep before I even took them. And I've realized that like a lot of the foods I might eat, especially later at night, they gave me the energy to stay up. Even though my body's tired and my brain is tired, like I just took in essentially sugar, glucose, and now I'm up. Now I'm like not falling asleep. So I would say
Hmm.
that you want to stop eating a fair amount of time. I'm not entirely sure. Like you figure it out for yourself, maybe a couple hours before you want to go to sleep. I don't do this, but a lot of people say that like turning off all electronics and get like keeping the phone away, like that's a good way to wind down. Like you want to wind down at least like an hour before you sleep or something. For
Hmm.
me, like I think more of the diet aspect of it, like that, that's what like would keep me wired. Like if I have a
Hmm.
sandwich at night, like that bread is gonna keep me up.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing I've noticed is that when I take caffeine
Yeah,
after 12 p.m., it's still in my system, and it makes it just more difficult to sleep. I can still feel the
yeah.
caffeine. Um, all right, great, Lewis. Last, so before we wrap up, I know we're getting to the top of the
Hmm.
hour, but as far as your dating life has evolved from before you started your fitness journey to now, have you seen a big difference on your sexual appeal? How women have treated you, just your overall dating life? Do you think
Of
it
course,
has helped a lot hitting the gym?
definitely, definitely.
What do you
So
think would be
I
the
don't.
biggest changes?
Well, it's like it's almost not even like a dating thing. It's so weird. It's like when you get more fit, like when you achieve a new plateau of fitness, it's like you have kind of like a halo effect. It's so weird. Because I never like I never viewed myself as being like that crazy fit, you know. It took MLD to tell me like, yo, like you're like exceptional, you know. Like I never really like thought that much about what I've accomplished. Like I never would have done the fitness stuff if he and like all you guys in the chat didn't really hype me up. You know, like,
Hmm.
you guys like credit to you guys. Like, you guys like really like helped me, gain a appreciation for what I've done. It goes to the inner game that MLD talks about. But like this, yeah, that's like this halo effect. Like people listen to me more when I say shit. Bro, believe it or not, like in the gym, like just to be clear, like I never mess around in the gym because the gym is like a sacred place. Like I go there to relieve stress. Like I don't mess around with any of the girls in the gym. Like yo, like I've been approached by a few women in the gym at a few times.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, like this doesn't happen. Like it just doesn't happen that often. And like also like going out with buddies. Maybe we go to like a rooftop bar, like a lit rooftop bar, or like a club or something. Like the past few times I've gone, like I've been approached by girls. I'm like, damn, like oh my friend thinks you're cute, blah blah blah. And I'm like, that shit was not happening. If you look at that slideshow, that shit was not happening for most of those slides. It was not.
Yeah.
It wasn't until now. And it's like, it's not just about like having like big arms or big chest. It's like also the way clothes fit you. Clothes
Yeah.
fit you in a much more flattering way. And for me, like, yeah, I definitely like I push the fitness side and the feeling good side of it. But it is nice. Like, it's definitely helped. Like you're definitely a lot more virile when you're fit. Like you're gonna last longer in bed. You're gonna fuck better. Chances are, like, obesity gets in the way of, like, you might have erectile dysfunction, especially because a lot of young
Yeah.
guys are not just heavier. They also beat their meat way too fucking much. They do that shit way too much. And both of those, yeah.
Just busting nuts all over
So
themselves.
seriously, seriously,
Yeah, no, yeah, man, I completely agree. I think, yeah, I think it's when it comes to just being overall more productive, having a better
yeah.
mindset, just being healthier. I think it all starts with your physical activity,
Make you
getting in the
sharper.
gym, and just lifting weights. It just completely changes your entire life. I think it's
Yes,
really like the pivotal key point there to start off with. Just
I totally agree.
incorporating a lifestyle of fitness. But Louis, I really appreciate you coming on, man.
I
Where
appreciate you for having me, bro. Like, I'm so thankful. Like, I'm so, like, unbelievably thankful. You don't even know, dude.
Yeah, we're definitely gonna do this again, man. I'm excited to see how much you progress and how
Mhm.
much you get better throughout your fitness journey as well. But before we wrap up, where can people find you? What's new? What do you got planning these next couple of months?
Sure. So I'm Lifting Lawyer X on all social media platforms. Really, I'm mostly active on Instagram and TikTok. I got to get on the YouTube grind. So this is a great way to start. X, X. I'm still trying to figure out like what kind of posts I should be doing on X. It's a little bit different from the others. So there's that. But I'm Lifting Lawyer X everywhere. My email is liftinglawyer1@gmail.com. My goal is to work remotely with people one on one to start off. So I do want to help people achieve their fitness goals on a one on one basis remotely. I can't like appear in a gym with you, unfortunately, although that would be great. You might not want me to because I'm very fucking strict. But so right now I am taking remote coaching if people are interested. Eventually, I want to have some sort of subscription based model. That's what MLD is pushing me to establish. I'm trying to figure out like what the offering would be to have a subscription based model because I don't want to have some token bullshit that isn't worth your money or time. I want
Yeah,
something that you'll be able to use every single day and you'll feel like you're getting something out of it. So I want to spend a meaningful amount of time developing that or figuring out what I'm going to offer to you. And besides that, we have our meetup in Orlando, and I'm really looking forward to that. And as you know, I'm going to be speaking. I'm going to be saying a lot of the same shit that I said today, really, but I have to put it in like a better package. I had to create a PowerPoint. So right now, I'm in the middle of creating a PowerPoint for that, creating my talking points,
I'm excited for
and just like
that.
creating more content, like experimenting with different types of content, shorter form, longer form. Saying buzzwordy shit, just trying to catch people's attention for more than a fraction of a second. And yeah, that's where I'm at. I'm also doing the law stuff. Like, I'm still a lawyer. I do my job. I'm really happy with what I'm doing. And yeah, that's where I'm at.
Very
What about
nice,
yourself?
Louis. For me, same here, man. Same here. I'm just gonna keep working on this content, keep building just working on the content side of it, making sure that I'm bringing on guests that I admire, guests that I think will be very helpful to help my audience, especially with leveling up in every area: fitness, money, career, productivity. That inner game that MLD likes to talk about a
Yeah.
lot. And I also want to niche down to something more specific where I really like productivity. I really like the mindset of having that clear mind and actually focusing on your goals, because I think that's where everything stems from that. And I really want to focus more on that and bring on content about that. But I know that it's all together. It's all intertwined, because
Yeah.
if you don't have
A
your
lot of it
fitness on
connects.
point, yeah, your productivity is going to be shit. If you don't have good productivity, your money is going to be negatively impacted by
Mm-hmm.
that as well. So it's all connected. But I think I'm excited, man. I'm excited because I'm bringing on guys that I really admire their content. I really,
I appreciate
I
that.
like the things that you guys are doing. So I think that if we keep on this train and we just keep leveling up, it's just gonna get better from there. And I'm excited for our trip in Florida to meet all the guys in person finally, and keep it going from there, man. We're gonna have fun. It's gonna be a good
I hope
trip.
I've been useful, man. I hope that this has been useful to you. I hope that this has been useful to the people watching. I hope that they learned something. I hope that anything that I've said can be useful to them for their lives and their goals.
Hell yeah, man. I'm pretty sure a lot of the young guys are out here taking notes, and they're not. They better be fucking taking notes, because these are some gems that are being dropped today. But Louis, I really appreciate it, man. We'll keep chatting a little bit offline. But everyone out there, stay strong, stay relentless, and keep on conquering.
Peace.
We'll catch you in the next video. Peace.